Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another table talk with Pastor John.
Hey, everyone.
We're going further now into Acts, into chapter 9, and there's yet another crazy figure that we encounter. This time it's a murderous guy bent on wiping out Christians.
Correct, who's highly educated and highly connected. Because a lot of times when we think about, someone who's trying to wipe out, we're like psychopath, out of control, mentally ill. No. This is a highly educated, thoughtful, double PhD guy who's got political religious backing, who thinks he's doing God's will. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even more scary. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And yet God has his finger on him.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Wow. So God is going to reach out to him. God is going to use his people.
Yep.
But first, God himself works.
Yeah.
With a demonstration of his glory.
Yeah.
What's the importance of that?
There used to be a professor who came to this church for years. He was an expert actually on cults, which I always used to joke with him. I said, "Are we okay? Are you checking us out?" He always used to joke with us. But he said, sometimes when someone can't see a pink elephant in the room, they can't see the pink elephant in the room, though it's there. There are so many people where it's going to take a divine moment of literal transformation because they are so smart, so educated, so entrenched within their system, their understanding, or their worldview, whether it's rooted in ethnicity, pain, education, gender, whatever it is, that it's going to take God to open the eyes of them and confront them. Now, he might not do it as dramatically, but I think this does force us back to the idea that there has to be sovereign work for people to really see, because it's just not naturally in us to see or want to see, actually.
Does it help us to see that it's not just an intellectual change when we accept Christ, but it's an encounter?
Yeah, I think you and I have done church for a long time, and we've been in environments where it's almost been reduced just to intellectual. And the problem with that, I said this in last week's message, Luke again and again talks about the difference between reading and understanding. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You can know something back and forward and still never know the person. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think so, except of course, it doesn't remove his thinking, it clarifies his thinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so Saul gets plunged into a process through blindness.
Yes.
That's so crazy.
And I think I said it in the message, I love how God physically demonstrates his condition. Like, most people would view Saul, forget the murderous thing, most people would view Saul with great respect and admiration. Spoke many languages, multicultural background, like everything we'd value in Toronto, other than some of maybe the violent over it, would be like, wow. And God's like, actually, your true condition is this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he never would have seen that, nor would have those around him even seen it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so into that, God sends a Christian.
Yeah, Ananas.
Who isn't jumping up and down about the opportunity.
No, and I was reflecting on this even more. Like, where Ananias works, right, is at the heart of fashion, the heart of money. And I don't think he was just sort of like a cashier. Mm-hmm. No. I think he probably was an owner of one of the stores. Mm. So this guy's got money and influence and stability. Mm. And I think he's like, A, he's dangerous. B, he hates you. And I don't know what the percentile is, but like, I could lose everything if I go near this guy. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, I love his argument with Jesus. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's so, and I think we'll see it next week with Peter. Peter's going to argue with Jesus about someone else. So it's okay to have the argument, but I just love the argument, and Jesus is like, no, we're done.
Right.
Go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we're allowed to push back in order to understand, but not push back in order to not do it.
Hey, listen, you can push back all you want, but there's this guy named Jonah. And he pushed back and ran the other way, and then this fish showed up. So, I think we should all learn that at the end of the day, yes, but we're going to lose.
Okay.
in the best of ways.
Okay. Yeah. So we need to stop relying on ourselves.
Yes, and our understanding.
Right, and we need to remember the glory of God as well.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like, Ananias is a really interesting figure for our cultural moment. Because Ananias should have said to Jesus, I'm not doing that because that man threatens my rights. That man has done an unjust thing. That man is toxic. That man is dangerous. And all the categories that are used right now in culture to cancel someone, remove someone, or destroy someone, he had every right to bring up. And Jesus said, not my interest right now. We're doing something different. That's not excusing Saul's sin, by the way.
No.
But it is quite profound that the starting point for Jesus was not rights or self-protection, but the gospel.
Okay. And you point out that really Ananias, despite all his privileges, had once been like Saul.
Well, all of us, I mean, I think, see, I became a Christian at 3. So you're like, I wasn't an enemy of God. No, I was. We're all born enemies of God until every one of us takes seriously our condition pre-Jesus. That by our evil behavior, because we're born in sin, we are enemies of God. Until, and I think I said it in the sermon, but maybe you want to do it in a Connect group. Some of you out loud might need to literally say, I have never admitted that I used to be an enemy of God. And I was. Because if you know that's what you were, then grace comes from that. If you think you are morally okay, why would you extend grace? Yeah.
Okay. And out of that, you encourage us into a discussion of how radical is our gospel.
Yeah, like, and maybe put it like this, realizing that there's a lot of pain in our church. A lot of us have experienced a lot of things that are terrible. That's not excusing anything. That's not, like I've said 100 times about controversial things. Just because there's forgiveness doesn't mean the law doesn't get involved. Like, one thing is not against the other thing. But what I am saying is, like, how radical is your gospel? Like, who do you think is going to populate the new heavens and the new earth other than sinners who have been redeemed? Do you think heaven's going to be full of people that agree with you, that did nothing evil? Like, what should be so mind-bending, maybe it's this. Who do you think met Paul when he died? Stephen. That's our gospel. Who's the first person to use the phrase the pearly gates, which aren't real, but the pearly gates? It's Stephen, right? And so this dynamic of people only get in if they don't hurt someone, people only get in if they're good, isn't the Christian gospel. The Christian gospel is we're all sinners, we're all enemies, we get forgiveness, and if it's genuine, we get access, even if it's scandalous. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
We have a lot to talk about.
Yep.
So we've opened a lot of cans of worms for you there in your groups, but we hope it'll lead to a fruitful discussion.
Yeah.
And help us all to be ready to really follow God and to do His will.
And maybe just a thought as we end, and also to be honest about what you don't like about this, and what you struggle with, and who you struggle with. And maybe to pray, have the group pray, Lord, help me to love those that I don't like. I think that's a really honest prayer.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, God bless you in your discussions. Thanks for joining us.